was her persistent admirer. She didn't reciprocate. There are letters from Frances to Dean talking about bringing sex back into her life, talking about STI tests that she took. So these letters are certainly indicative that Frances was more than an uninterested party. These directly contradict her, and they are evidence that can be used in court.
Tensions in the relationship between Frances Thompson and Dean Frank are building, and they're about to take a violent turn. Located roughly 20 miles northwest of the small village of Verdigris, Nebraska, is a farm. The widowed Frances Thompson sees it as a chance for her and her son to start over.
As part of turning her life around, Frances pursued her passion for environmentalism and animal rights.
So she enrolled in the University of Nebraska, Lincoln.
She was a very high-achieving student there.
In the summer of 1991, after Frances finishes her third year studying environmental law, and while his son is away at the Naval Academy, a romance between her and longtime friend Dean Frank begins to blossom. But over the course of the summer, that romance turns sour. August 17th, Frances calls the sheriff's office to report threatening calls from Dean Frank. When asked if she needs assistance, she says no.
She wanted to lodge a complaint against Dean Frank. It was kind of a strange request in a way because she was very calm, very matter of fact, no excitement, no fear, just wanted to lodge a complaint.
On August 18th, Frances is at her computer typing up incident reports from Dean's threatening phone calls. She's startled from her work when she hears a car door slam outside. She's not expecting anybody, and she worries it might be Dean. She creeps to the window and peeks out from behind the blind. She sees Dean has arrived, unannounced. According to Frances, the last time she spoke with Dean, he threatened her, so she grabs her gun, checks that it's loaded, and makes sure to keep it close by, just in case. There's tension in the air as Dean makes his way to the kitchen to put away the groceries. Frances claims that she never asked him to come over, but now she's too afraid to ask him to leave.
The whole situation escalates from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. Prior to the confrontation on August 18th, Frances had obtained some ammunition for her .357 Magnum. The fact that she armed herself with the most powerful firearm of those that she had was certainly telling.
So at any point before the homicide happened, she practiced with both handguns. There was evidence to indicate that.
Frances was a security guard at one point, and she's developed a proficiency for the use of these firearms as a result of her experience.
There is a record of Frances talking to the sheriff and advising the sheriff that Dean's threats have been escalating and that she is receiving threatening calls from him. The The sheriff advises Frances to keep a record of these calls and also advises her that she should attend court and get a restraining order against him. However, it's a Sunday, so she'll have to wait until the next business day. So generally, you would have to apply for a restraining order at the courthouse. Normally, they want documentation that there's threats being made of some sort and that you do feel that you're in danger.
Dean enters the house and goes straight to the kitchen to unload groceries. What happens next will change their lives forever.
Her story was that he came in, he lunged at her and said, "I'm going to kill you," or something to that effect.
That's it.
According to Frances, she draws the gun and warns Dean to stop. When he doesn't, she fires 3 shots into his abdomen and fires the 3 remaining shots into the floor. Dean is badly wounded, and unless help arrives soon, he will die.
Frances calls the sheriff's office at 5:35 p.m. from the farmhouse, advising them that she shot someone in self-defense.
She said, "I want to speak to a deputy. I shot Dean Frank. He came into my house."
At 6:25 p.m., almost an hour after the call is placed, authorities arrive on the scene where they're admitted to the home by Frances.
They responded as quick as they could, but it took 50 minutes to get there from the time she called. When I entered the house, I seen no signs of forced entry. I didn't see any signs of a struggle inside, which I thought was kind of strange. Everything appeared to be like it should be.
The sheriff is surprised to see Dean still alive. He's bleeding out badly and is minutes from death. The deputy attempts to stymie the bleeding while the sheriff calls for paramedics.
He was still alive at that particular time, and they treated his wounds that they saw, and then tried to stabilize him.
He basically was dead 2 minutes after the EMTs arrived.
The sheriff informs Frances she'll need to come in for questioning, but she insists that she was only defending herself and points to the self-defense message Dean wrote in his blood as proof. Soon, the forensics expert arrives to assist the investigation.
Good money.